And I'm Symphony Privet. Thank you for joining us here on Featured. We hope to inspire or simply make you smile with uplifting stories across the country. All right, let's start off with a message in a bottle. It was found more than 80 years after it was sent out, but the bottle didn't wash ashore. It was found deeply rooted in the woods in Washington. Eric Wilkinson shows us how the discovery reunited a family across generations.
Another portrait of Granddaddy.
Tom Larson has no memories of his grandfather, only keepsakes. Carl Larson died the year Tom was born.
So Granddad was up doing the Elkan Highway.
Too old to enlist in World War II, in 1943, Carl Larson volunteered to help build the Elkan Highway, a military support line between Canada and Alaska. That's about all anybody knew. And years later, Tom discovered there was one more mystery hanging out there.
I have no idea why Granddad one night went out and tied this tree, or tied the bottle to the tree, and never told anybody about it.
Fast forward more than 80 years. A Canadian surveying team finds this bottle tied to a tree deep in the forest near Fort St. John, British Columbia, about 750 miles north of Vancouver.
And then somebody saw this wire on a tree and pulled it, and then out pops his bottle.
Inside was a handwritten note with Carl's name and address. Through some modern internet sleuthing and Ancestry.com, authorities connected the ancient artifacts to Tom in Bothell.
So we've put it into a box.
Tom placed the bottle on display at his home. He's never opened it for fear of damaging the letter. He's only seen photos. Until now. With the pop of a rusty bottle cap, the nearly century-old family mystery is unsealed, the message delicately extracted.
You can see that it's ripped here.
Tom seeing his grandfather's handwriting in person for the very first time.
That's a lot clearer than I expected it.
The note inside the bottle simply gives the grandfather's name, address, and request for whoever finds the bottle to write him.
So I don't know if it was an act of desperation, or was it an act of faith that says, one of my relatives will eventually find this someday.
A discovery that's more than a needle in a haystack. It's a bottle in a forest, one that 30,067 days later inspires another generation.
So maybe I should go in the backyard and put a bottle on a tree and see if 80 years later somebody will mail it to somebody in the Larson family.
That was Eric Wilkinson reporting. All right, let's head over to an Air Force base in Georgia now where duty meets destiny. Hunter King tells us how Chipotle and a shared life of service sparked a love that endures.
It looked like any other patrol at Joint Base Andrews, but for Joseph and Diamond Guzman, it marked the beginning of their story.
I didn't see him like that at that time, I'm just be honest with you. But then when we went to, he became a Raven, a Phoenix Raven, and then I became a Phoenix Raven, and that's how we connected back together.
Their first date, a simple trip to Chipotle. And 12 years later, they've built their life serving their country side by side.
We have to, mind you, be parents first and raise our two little ones and then have time to focus on each other.
It hasn't been easy though. The couple has weathered deployments, midnight shifts, and now raising two boys. Before they married, Joseph spent 7 months away in Kuwait, missing holidays and birthdays.
Don't forget, I feel like oftentimes we can get comfortable, like this is just another person, but no, like keep those memories fresh as far as like how you met.
Their service has taken them from Maryland to North Dakota and now to Robins Air Force Base. But the journey isn't over.
She's been my rock. She's been my foundation. She's changed who I am. Yeah. Sorry to get emotional.
From protecting presidential aircraft to protecting their love. Diamond says it's hard for her to think that they almost never went on that first date to Chipotle all those years ago.
It's weird to think about it, but I'm glad.
Reporting from Robins Air Force Base, Hunter King.
Oh, how cute was that? All right, now how do you measure love? For this couple in Pennsylvania, it's pretty simple. 1 rose for every year together. Melvin and Lois Bickle's annual tradition has grown so big. Check this out. This year, it overflowed into 2 bouquets. 70 roses in all, celebrating 7 decades side by side.
There's 2 bouquets. They couldn't get a vase big enough to put them all in.
70 years. It's been a wonderful life. We've traveled, we've had 4 children.
For a lasting relationship, they say love, forgive, and don't sweat the small stuff. Grudges get you nowhere. All right, you heard it first. Congratulations on 70 years together. I love that one. All right, now, just like with your first love, some favorite toys stay with us forever. Audrey Russo shows us how those childhood bonds can last a lifetime.
A toddler's tumble and a guilt-stricken grandma was all it took
She was like, I should have been watching her.
to spark a friendship 26 years strong.
And so my present was Kitty.
Lauren Olson's orange tabby TY had a hold on her heart,
Kitty was everywhere I went.
and she held on just as tight.
This also shows, unfortunately, how I would hold Kitty.
The childhood chokehold changed Kitty,
Her neck right now is so thin and fragile.
all in service of giving Lauren
I moved about 4 times.
something stable.
3 different high schools. Whenever it felt like nothing in my life was constant, Kitty was always there. Her whole body is almost completely missing fur.
Literally loved to pieces, Lauren put her sidekick in the spotlight.
So I joined 3 Reddit groups and then some sewing groups.
She's hoping to find a stuffed animal repair service within a day's drive.
Because I get really nervous about shipping her.
Lauren pulled a few threads without finding success.
All of those recommendations were out of state.
But her message tugged more strings
That just
than she thought.
love nostalgia.
I ran across that posting and it just spoke to me. It spoke to my heart.
I just thought of him immediately. He's seen a lot.
Believe it or not, this is Elmo. I was also interested in hearing what information she found.
Some people were like 50 years old or older that I thought was so cool.
We have a donkey here with us. He's 52.
So he's 59 years old.
You know, I'm so used to him that I guess I don't notice just maybe how rough he looks.
My father gave him to me the day I was born. I was 3 pounds. You know, I lost my dad when I was 22. And I don't know, I kind of feel like he's just kind of with me sometime. It's just comforting.
Well, he comforted me through a lot of grief and different things. Sorry. That's probably why he means so much to me, because he was the one thing that was a constant.
You have a visual of what love has done to this guy.
I love the community that I brought together with those posts.
Lauren is hoping Kitty can get a refresh
I want her face to be clean.
rather than a restoration.
The ear that is sewn, my grandma Evelyn did that, and that's special to me.
Mint condition,
Like, this was my friend,
won't quite measure up
and it's still my friend.
to 26 years of memories.
Because as long as it's Kitty, it's Kitty's.
In Bloomington, Audrey Russo.
All right, now how do you make $250,000 before you even reach the age of 20? I was nowhere near doing that. Well, a young man in Washington has the answer for us this morning. Eric Wilkinson tells us the road to success starts with a single step.
Malachi Larson is launching his sneaker empire from this bedroom at his grandparents' house.
These are their cactus plant flea market Nike shoes.
A business that is gaining plenty of traction. A self-described sneakerhead, Malachi started his business, Pacific Kicks, when he was a sophomore in high school, just 15 years old, using Christmas money to buy an assortment of shoes online.
But a lot of the shoes were not my size, and so that kind of forced me to sell them, and I made a little bit of money doing so and realized, hey, maybe I can make a business out of this.
Now 19, he's done just that, and then some.
I've done 250,000 sales roughly over the course of 4 years.
That includes this pair of Louis Vuitton Air Force Ones.
I won't disclose the amount they sold for, but it was over a 4-figure number. It was high 4-figure number.
Hardly child's play, and even more impressive when you realize Malachi went into the foster care system when he was 13. Since then, he's been awarded a $5,000 Youth Entrepreneur of the Year scholarship and continues to grow his business. Now living with his grandparents while he pursues a business degree, Malachi credits his success to his challenging upbringing.
Maturing at a younger age and having to kind of discipline myself, teach myself pretty much everything I know, to be honest.
While Malachi is the sole proprietor of Pacific Kicks, His right-hand man is his younger brother, Josiah, doing the packaging and pictures.
Yeah, make him do the boring stuff.
The two hope to follow in each other's footsteps once Malachi finishes college and open their own store. A good fit, like a perfectly broken-in pair of shoes.
Definitely tons of opportunities that have came out of this, and definitely more to come.
And that was Eric Wilkinson reporting, and we have much more for you straight ahead on Featured. Cleared for takeoff, a flight school is changing the face of aviation. We find out how it is breaking barriers in the skies. Plus, they thought their writing days were over, but look at this, they were wrong. We meet a group of volunteers who helped them reclaim the road and their freedom. And a little bit later in the show, the moment a fan finally got the signature he'd been waiting decades for. Welcome back. Up in the skies of Georgia, one flight school is making history and giving aspiring pilots a runway to high-paying careers. Danielle Nottingham tells us why the next generation of aviators now have 1 million reasons to soar.
At this airfield in Lawrenceville, students are training to take control of the skies.
How far were we from Brown Patch?
Urian Booz's journey began years before she came to the Lookup Flight Academy, not in the cockpit, but in the cabin.
So my aviation journey started back in 2011 when I was a flight attendant at Omni Air International, and just being in the air all the time on those international flights, I just got really curious about becoming a pilot.
The flight school is working to change what the aviation industry looks like, especially behind the controls.
Black women still make up less than 1% actually of all professional pilots, so I'm just here to change that landscape of what our industry looks like. I feel like the sky is for everybody, so it shouldn't be gatekept just for one certain demographic.
Academy founder Mike Ojo has made a name for himself in aviation, documenting becoming a pilot and building aircraft.
So right now, this airplane is pretty much at the finish line.
He's preparing students for life-changing careers that can lead to high-paying salaries as technicians and commercial pilots.
There's a lot of us who have no idea that this world exists. So that kind of was the motivating factor to actually push this forward.
That mission spans generations to include teens like Kalen Wilson. He works full-time at Chick-fil-A to pay for his training.
They're like, wow, you're 17 years old, you're a black man, you're in a plane.
For Booz, making the leap from flight attendant to pilot is about more than a career change.
The level of freedom you feel the first time you go solo on a flight by yourself, at the controls, just you, ATC, and the sky, and the plane that you've spent so much time learning about, it's just an incredible feeling. You feel so liberated and empowered to do pretty much anything.
So far, Lookup Flight Academy has graduated 110 students.
That was Danielle Nottingham reporting. A group of Maryland volunteers are making a positive impact, one ride at a time. They're turning a bike trail into an opportunity to relive old memories and make some new ones. Sean Martinelli takes us to a park where it all unfolds each week.
The path may seem straight.
What are they?
But every so often,
well, where do they go?
A site here throws people for a curve.
Well, how do they work that?
Those are questions from neighbor Dolores Ring.
I couldn't figure what it was.
You'd think she spotted E.T. No extraterrestrials in this cargo. Just extra excited seniors.
Hop on. Sit on her lap, maybe.
They departed from the nearby Sunrise Assisted Living, where thankfully someone saved me a seat.
Have you done this before?
No, first time.
You haven't?
It's all part of an international program called Cycling Without Age. Sandy Bishop leads the local chapter.
But it's a head turner. It gets attention.
Every week, Sandy and other volunteers, known as pilots, give rides like this for free.
Doesn't matter where you sit on the bike, everybody gets a benefit from it. conversations start, memories come back, and it just, there's something different about it.
Just ask pilot Christine Joyce.
I took a woman out one time, and she was from memory care, and she loved the crepe myrtles. Every single tree almost in bloom was a new experience to her almost.
Moments like that have happened time and time again across more than 5 million Cycling Without Age rides. We went on one with Carol Jones.
I always had my own bicycle.
Carol grew up in Severna Park, used to ride this path on her own. Aging took that experience away. Cycling Without Age brought it back.
I was thrilled when they decided to include us.
For Carol, this became much more than just a ride.
You maybe can tell there's no place I would rather be than out in the woods, out on the trail, outside. It means everything to me. If I couldn't be outside, I might as well just give it up.
These rides gave Carol a reason to keep going, to feel the breeze in her face and goodwill at her back.
Just seeing the bike makes people smile. Being on it makes them smile more.
In Severna Park, Maryland, Sean Martinelli.
A group of Buddhist monks are on pilgrimage for peace across several states. Let's take a look here. They are in Fayetteville, Georgia in this clip, just outside of Atlanta. As their presence grew, so did a crowd eager to welcome them. The monks are on a spiritual mission to spread messages of peace, love, kindness, and compassion to all.
I was sincerely moved that it was the monks, but I think I would have been moved if anyone were doing it, just to walk for peace with the times that we're living in right now.
I loved how people are showing love, and I feel like with a world with so much hate in it, it's good to see the light and the good, and seeing everybody come together for peace.
The monks began their journey weeks before in Fort Worth, Texas. They're covering 2,300 miles and will eventually end in Washington, D.C. The peace pilgrimage is expected to take about 120 days. Now that equals out to almost 4 months of walking. Woo. Alrighty, we still have more for you straight ahead. Take a look at this. She is blowing out 106 candles, and as you can see here, she is still full of energy. She tells us why staying involved matters. And a former cop finds a new mission after a career-ending injury, how he is now amplifying the voices of first responders. You ever wonder what it's like to have seen more history than anyone else in your family? Well, a woman in North Carolina knows that experience firsthand. She is full of energy and smiles after more than 100 birthdays. Bera Smith introduces us to Penny, and she shares the wisdom she has gained after 106 years.
It's an amazing number for me as well. I never thought I would, but it's just another year.
Another year added to Penny Butler's 10-plus decades. Born Millicent Butler, her nickname Penny was coined by her younger sister decades ago. Penny has lived through many generations, has worked in the executive space, and says her key is simple.
To be involved, that's my secret. If you're going to be here, there are so many activities that you can do, and it's foolish not to be involved.
Butler tells me she loves to dance, take part in activities where she lives, and spend time with family. She says being involved is a part of her day-to-day routine.
I go to the art class, and I play bridge, go to exercise.
Butler is the mother of 3 children, 6 grandchildren, and 7 great-grandchildren, the youngest of which is just 2 months old. Her 106th birthday wish?
Thank you that I have lived this long and fairly well, and I am really mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother of wonderful children. And they too have always been involved and are still involved.
And her reminder to anyone aspiring to have a lengthy and healthy life.
I don't know what I can tell you other than to keep involved.
All right, I hear you, Miss Penny. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with all of us here on Featured. That was Bria Smith reporting. All right, it's time for a quick break, but first, let's check out what's coming up next. Shaq makes a meaningful assist off the basketball court. We'll show you how he is helping an aspiring cop get his dream job. Plus, this chip spot has a recipe for happy reunions. We visit a cafe that's helping lost pets find their way back home. Thank you for staying with us on Featured. I'm Symphony Privet, and we are continuing to bring you uplifting stories across the country. All right, let's head over to Ohio now, where a baseball fan waited 30 years for one big moment. One bat, one goal, every autograph from the legendary 95 Cleveland Indians. Jay Crawford has a story of how the final signature finally came through.
How many people of these players are going to be in the Hall of Fame?
Bruce Prohaska loves baseball.
I think Kenny should be there. Tommy, Murray, I don't know about Bell. Bell had his attitude problems, but he was a good player.
In the summer of 1995, Bruce bought a souvenir Indians bat with the goal of getting every member of that prolific World Series team to sign it. Pitcher Charles Nagy was the first to put his name on it, and one by one, the names piled up as that magical season unfolded.
Cleveland, you will have an October to remember.
But when the year ended, players slowly went their separate ways, and remaining signatures became very difficult to come by.
You know, the bat is 30 years in the making. That bat has so many stories.
Bruce's son Brian played a key role in Operation Bat Sign.
I've taken that bat with me to Tribe Fest. My sisters would stand outside the gates at Progressive Field to get autographs. My dad would go down there. It's been, like I said, a labor of love for 30 years.
In 2010, 15 years after the last out was made in the 95 World Series, outfielder Wayne Kirby signed the bat. But then it went into a closet for the next 14 years. Only 3 signatures remained. Then came a random meeting last year at Tommy Boy's in Menor.
I stopped here to get Kenny Lofton's signature on my 1995 Indians bat.
Bruce came up and said, would you sign my bat? And he said, you are one of 3 that I need. And he said, I'm getting older. I'm a Vietnam vet. Hopefully I can be, here to live long enough to be able to get this signed. And I was like, wow. I said, you know what, Bruce? I'll make that happen.
And Kenny went to work. To get the 2 missing signatures, Kenny planned a trip to Las Vegas and eventually Los Angeles to track down pitcher Oral Hershiser.
Bruce, we're doing it again. Yes, that worked, big guy. Almost a one of a kind.
And that left just 1 signature remaining. And it was the man who hit one of the most memorable home runs that entire season.
Oh man, Tony Pena!
Backup catcher Tony Pena. But there was one problem. Tony is enjoying life in the Dominican Republic with no plans to return to the U.S. So Kenny would take the bat to him.
I'm here in the Dominican with Tony Pena, the last guy to sign the bat. Done deal.
And there it was, the final name on a mission 30 years in the making.
To have someone not part of the team or part of the organization to get a bat signed with everybody, extraordinary.
And after its epic trip, the bat finally made its triumphant return to Bruce at Tommy Boy's this past July.
So Bruce, here is your bat.
When you presented it to Bruce, you shared a moment with him. What did he say?
He said, thank you so much. If it wasn't for you, this would have never happened. So I'm like, wow. He said, I thank you, God bless you.
How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel good because, again, people always doing stuff for us or whatever, but us to have an opportunity to do something for a big fan.
I'd lie if I say I wasn't teared up and crying. You could see my dad's reaction. I mean, it's awesome. To have a guy like Kenny do what he did to make this happen is just, he's a remarkable human being.
He shook my hand. He gave me a hug. He said, this was for you, Bruce. And that just meant the world to me.
That was Jay Crawford reporting. Great story there. All right, check this out. Shaquille O'Neal, he's not just an NBA legend. He is also a giant supporter of dreams. He is helping a young man reach new heights as he aspires to become a police officer. Troy Class shows us how Shaq is making it happen.
Kemah, Texas might be one of the last places you'd expect to see two men as big as this together.
I actually found out about him through jealousy. I thought I was the tallest, handsomest cop in the world.
After seeing him on Instagram, Shaquille O'Neal met Jordan Wilmore, a 24-year-old who is aspiring to work for the Kemah Police Department. After successfully completing the academy, he took his state peace officer exam.
I mean, I made a 69. You have to make at least a 70 to pass or above. First I was down, but then I'm like, I'm still young. You fail, you gotta get right back up. Can't be so quick just to quit.
Kemah Police Chief Raymond Garavay got a FaceTime call from Shaq where he told him about the news.
In my 34-year career, I've seen others fail, but I've also seen people give up. And once they're done, they're done. Hey, I failed, it's not for me, and they go do other work. That's not the case here. He wants to serve.
Shaq, a certified peace officer, could relate.
So it actually took me 5 to 7 years to graduate from LA Sheriff's Academy.
To help Jordan, he's sponsoring his next journey in the police academy.
I want him to really focus on this because it's commendable that a kid wants to be a cop. I love cops. I get a lot of flack for loving cops, but cops made me who I am.
As an incentive, Shaq says he'll have a custom-made car ready for Jordan when he passes the exam, and Jordan is grateful.
I mean, I'm really thankful for him helping me out and being there and being like a mentor for helping me out do this.
Shaq saying he wants to help.
I wanted to just, let him know that he had my full support. So I'm going to be on you, brother. Make sure you get it done.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you.
As Shaq was once in Jordan's shoes.
Oh, that's awesome. That was Troy Class reporting. In St. Louis, a former police officer no longer wears the badge, and while he can't patrol the streets anymore, he found a new way to serve along with his fellow first responders. Mike Bush explains.
The badge is gone. The calling isn't.
We're changing it up a little bit today.
Here in a small studio in St. Louis County, former city police officer Colin Ledbetter is back on duty, just serving in a different way.
It takes a lot out of you, and you.
Now, instead of a radio, he's got a podcast called Built Different, giving first responders something they rarely get: time to talk.
You got to worry about not only yourself, you got to worry about them because they don't know anything.
The police uniform anywhere nowadays is immediate trigger factor.
My ultimate goal as a police officer is to leave somebody in a better spot than I find them.
Long before he sat behind a microphone, there was a kid from Vandalia, Illinois, who didn't just want to serve, he wanted to make it count.
I wanted to do the most. If I was going to do this job, I wanted to be able to do the most.
He joined the Army National Guard, then the St. Louis Police Department, hitting the streets in the 6th District, where calls come fast and danger comes faster. And on January 26, 2022, it all came at once. Colin and his partner, Officer Nathan Spees, were chasing a homicide suspect when both were shot. A bullet severed Colin's femoral artery. He flatlined. Doctors say he needed nearly 3 times the blood in a human body just to stay alive. Weeks later, when he finally left the hospital, the city he nearly died protecting was waiting. And on his way home, they drove him past police headquarters and the new soccer stadium that was still going up.
I remember seeing all the cops and everything lined up out there, but the thing that really got me was when I turned around to get back in my car, all the workers that were working on that stadium turned around and clapped as well.
He survived, but his career didn't.
I was 25 years old, and I don't know who I am now, basically.
Thanks for coming.
So the officer who once answered everyone else's emergencies had to figure out his own.
I'm going to have you squeeze on that a couple more times.
Blood drives came first, paying forward the gift that saved his life. But something was missing. He missed the people who understood him best.
I felt that disconnect from the community, law enforcement, just first responder community. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, I really love to give back somehow.
That somehow became Built Different, produced with Trueline Media Group, where first responders who never talk finally do.
When you come home and you're just feeling like super heavy, I don't know if I can share this with you, having that already planned out can really help.
It's a show about first responders, a side of them that you don't always get to see. And it's a conversation that people enjoy watching.
For Colin, it's part mission, part medicine.
I think it's therapeutic for me, but it's also therapeutic for them. They get to share their story, and everyone's got a story, especially in this line of work. Hanging out with friends outside of the department.
He can't ride in a squad car anymore, so he's driving something different, a conversation.
It brightens me up a little bit. These types of guys are not used to being in the limelight. It's not all glamorous.
Colin Ledbetter, a cop who almost lost his voice forever, has a new chapter, making sure the people still answering the call finally get the last word.
And that was Mike Bush reporting. All right, let's step into a police department lobby in Idaho, and that's where we'll find hope in a box. Maggie O'Mara shows us how one officer inspired an entire community to give back.
This is the blessing box.
Drop off some stuff, take what you need, and maybe leave what you can.
As you can see, it's packed with, well, blessings.
So all sorts of things, food, diapers, wipes, non-perishable items, personal hygiene products, beanies like in the winter, coats, toothpaste, toothbrushes, all sorts of items like that.
It's been here in the lobby of the Caldwell Police Department since 2017. An officer and his family came up with the idea.
Because people come here for help. Anybody that is in need, and the doors downstairs are open 24/7, so it's that part of the police department is available to anybody anytime.
Liz Gadina is the victim witness coordinator for Caldwell PD. She knows how important it is to get people the help they need when they need it.
I myself, as a victim witness coordinator, have helped people in the middle of the night getting out of a violent situation to get them into a safer place to actually stock up some items at least for a night as well. They trust us to be able to come here.
The best part is the blessing box is stocked by the Caldwell community. People just stop by to give.
And that includes every one of our schools in the city. Even the elementary students do fundraising, service projects, and they come and drop off stuff all the time. It's always great to see the community, especially our young local youth doing that. Banks, church groups, all sorts of groups.
And when the box gets low on supplies?
I know that when we've asked in the past, people have just shown up. Our local Walmart's grocery outlet is a great contributor to this as well. Caldwell community is outstanding, and we really appreciate that support.
This handmade wooden cabinet proves even the little things matter.
Even if it's a small amount, it doesn't have to be a truckload. It could just be a small amount, and any part of it is appreciated.
Day after day, the blessing box is providing that extra support for anyone who needs it.
Forever. It'll be here forever.
And it's powered by a loving community of people who truly care.
Really goes to show that we can really all make a difference.
That was Maggie O'Mara reporting. All right, you don't want to miss what's coming up next. A bit later, we watch what happens when a 3-year-old sees a beloved Disney character come to life. The priceless moment that took his parents by surprise. And up next, at one Arkansas museum, the art is not the only attraction. Meet the famous feline, making it his personal playground. Welcome back. A restaurant in Texas is going the extra mile to help out pet owners reunite with lost animals. Sean Giggy tells us how chips are making a difference here, and not the kind you eat.
Winslow's Cafe serves hungry Fort Worth diners just so it can cater to their companions.
I only own a restaurant to get money to give to the dog, so.
Joe Barry is the owner. Winslow was his dog. But Joe's canine compassion knows no end, which is why Fort Worth Animal Care and Control recently approached him with an idea.
Right when they said it, we said we're in.
And that's how Winslow's became Fort Worth's first chip spot.
It's a spot where you can come, bring a lost animal, and try to help it get back home.
Brenda Matuti works for the city and said anyone who finds a lost pet, either dog or cat, can bring it to Winslow's, where a staff member will scan for a chip, scan a code, thus alerting the owner their pet has been found.
Come here and save a dog at 10 at night, 11 at night. As long as we're open, you can come bring your dog here to find out if it can be scanned.
It helps ease the burden of finding a shelter or vet, especially when they may be closed or far away. But more importantly, it saves lives.
If we're able to keep a pet out of the shelter, that means there's more space for an animal who actually is a stray, who actually needs to come to the shelter.
Fewer animals means fewer deaths, which is why the city hopes to expand the program by partnering with other local businesses.
Ultimately, it comes down to saving more lives, and that's why we wanted to create this chip spot.
Here at Winslow's, food and drink is the specialty, but saving lives is a real treat. In Fort Worth, I'm Sean Giggy.
All right, check this out. A special feature at an Arkansas museum is stilling hearts in the community and online, but it's not a new exhibit or even artwork. Emily Maas introduces us to Hamash, the cat that has become the main attraction.
It's kind of like a Where's Waldo? It's more of Where's Hamish?
Deep inside the Crystal Bridges Forest, just around the corner, a familiar noise calls out to visitors. This is Hamish. The curious feline is an unofficial employee of the museum, greeting art and cat lovers, from the trails to the sculptures to even inside the museum itself.
He's just like a fixture. People love him.
Hamish lives nearby, with the freedom to roam the grounds as he pleases.
He's always loved people, and one day one of my friends had sent me a picture from Crystal Bridges Instagram, and it was Hamish apparently had been going down to the Fly's Eye Dome and hanging out, and people were loving him.
Hamish's adventure started just over a decade ago, creating friendships with patrons and the Crystal Bridges staff.
I started in October of 2015, and we were just about to open the Frank Lloyd Wright House, and I remember seeing him on the grounds. He was just so popular with people that came here on a regular basis that I think it just got around that, yeah, he's the Crystal Bridges cat.
Now thousands of people follow the buff tabby on social media, adding finding famous Hamish to their visits.
He's gotten them to turn on the drinking fountain for him when he's thirsty.
We found out that he crashes weddings and somehow gets in the wedding.
He's been known to lay on the hoods of cars. They're warm. He's been known to hang out in the window alcoves. We see him there quite a lot. He's hung out on sculptures. Most people can't touch the art, but Hamish certainly can.
And he's more than eager to meet everyone that he can.
He's extremely affectionate, and he's just got a great personality. Everyone loves him. He's nicer than most people, I would think.
Hamish's owners say that his impact is more than just a follow or a like online.
There was even a message where this lady they had just lost their son, and her husband had left her, and she was at the Crystal Bridges thinking about ways to end her life. And she said Hamish came and sat on her lap for 3 hours And she said that that was just something where she realized that, you know, life was good and that she could make a new life for herself.
And his second family says they're not surprised.
If there is an animal that could save someone's life, it would be Hamish.
So the next time you come to Crystal Bridges, take a stop by one of Hamish's favorite spots and meet the cat that's connecting this community.
Yeah, he's just a cat, but he has definitely left already kind of a living legacy. And I really do hope that it helps people come to Crystal Bridges, enjoy the cat, but also enjoy the art.
And that was Emily Moss reporting. Straight ahead, one sign, one dream, and over a year of practice. How a devoted fan went from the crowd to the stage with his favorite band. Okay, we are about to meet a man who is taking fandom to the next level. He spent a year and a half to master a new skill just to get his favorite band's attention. Bianca Bono tells us if his dedication paid off.
I first saw them back in 2010.
Christian Barola is talking about the Killers. And ever since, it's been his favorite band.
My whole family loves the Killers.
He's traveled to cities like San Diego, Las Vegas, and Seattle to see them in concert, connected to more than just their music.
It relates to my whole life. Every lyric makes me feel like the nostalgia back home, growing up, you know.
And Barola himself is a musician, playing piano and guitar since he was 8 years old.
I always wanted to be famous musician, right? That was my dream growing up.
The Killers are known to oftentimes invite a lucky fan on stage to play drums alongside them as they perform their song for reasons unknown. Barola realized it was a way he could make his dream a reality. The only problem, he didn't play the drums. So a year and a half ago, he decided to learn.
I'm gonna learn how to play drums. And I'm gonna make it my goal to play with the Killers. That was my goal. That's what I set out to do.
Every day for at least 15 minutes a day, Barola practiced.
And I practiced that song thousands of times every single day.
And when the Killers were booked to headline Innings Festival in Tempe, Barola felt that was his best shot. So he and his family went. And as the band started that song, he held up his sign. What did the sign say?
I'm the man to play the drums. And it's in reference to one of their songs.
Despite others holding up signs too, it was Barola's that caught lead singer Brandon Flowers' attention.
Say hello to Christian from Tucson, Arizona. Yeah!
Before he knew it,
I check my face. I look a little bit older.
He was on stage playing the drums alongside his favorite band in front of tens of thousands of people.
Christian, so far so good.
Once he picked me, I don't know what happened, honestly. It just happened like a dream. It happened too fast. I went up there and I just did my thing. Looking back, I feel pretty proud. I think I did pretty good.
And the crowd thought so too. Erupting as the Arizonan who dreamt of this moment lived it.
That's like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I think that's the best day of my life.
That's pretty awesome. That was Bianca Bono reporting. Now, fans young and old know the power of meeting your favorites, whether it be a band or even a cartoon character. Oh my goodness, little 3-year-old Molly couldn't hold back his tears when he finally saw Mickey Mouse in person. His reaction caught his parents off guard, and it even made his dad tear up a little bit. Oh my goodness, I think I'm gonna start tearing up. Is anybody cutting onions around here? Look at that cutie. Now his mom asked him why he was crying. Little Molly said, because Mickey is his buddy. That is so sweet. All right, that's it for this episode of Featured. Until next time, make it a great one.